Hi guys, this is 𝙀𝙬𝙂 Radio and I'm 𝙀𝙀. I recently learned about an interesting technology. It's about teaching AI my voice and making it produce my voice. Wow! It is said to support various languages services. However, the Japanese AI keeps misreading the kanji, and its Korean also sounds strange sometimes, However, its English seems quite natural, and its English pronunciation seems better than mine. Anyway, I'm going to try it for the first time. Then enjoy this podcast and leave a comment about how you think this cutting-edge technology is.
The voice from now on is AI's voice that learned 𝙀𝙀 voice. Today, I'm finally going to tell this person's story, a symbolic figure in the world of music, a master who can never be left out of the history of music, Ludwig van Beethoven. Beethoven is one of my absolute favorite composers. As many of you know, his life was a blend of tragedy and glory. Yet the music he created is considered an eternal legacy that will remain with humanity forever. Beethoven was born in 1770 in the small city of Bonn, Germany. At that time, Europe was in the midst of political and social change, and Beethoven began to shape his artistic voice within this context. From a young age, he started learning the piano. And despite his father's harsh and forceful teaching methods, Beethoven showed remarkable talent. His father was so obsessed with making him the second Mozart that he even lied about his age. But Beethoven grew by exploring music in his own way. There was an important person in Bonn for Beethoven. That person was the court organist Neefe. Neefe recognized Beethoven's musical talent and had a great influence on him by teaching him composition and musical depth. Through Neefe's guidance, Beethoven was able to work as an organist from a young age, laying the foundation for his career as a composer. In 1792, Beethoven left Bonn for Vienna, Austria. Vienna was the music capital of Europe at the time, and there, Beethoven expanded his musical world through interactions with masters like Haydn. During this period, Beethoven gained fame as a pianist and began to attract attention as a composer, with works like the Pathétique Piano Sonata and Symphony No. 1. Did you know that Beethoven greatly influenced the development of the piano? His piano works expanded the piano's range, opened up new expressive possibilities, and elevated the piano to an independent artistic instrument. That's why Beethoven is also called the King of the Piano. Beethoven is also known as the first musician to infuse personal emotion and individuality into his works. While his early compositions were influenced by the classical style, his original and innovative musical ideas can be seen throughout. Beethoven established his own unique style by not simply following forms, but expressing his personal feelings and philosophy through music. This individuality is what distinguishes him from composers of earlier times. In this sense, one could say Beethoven was the first composer to regard music as a true work of art. He sought to express and convey philosophical and emotional messages through music, raising the artistic status of music significantly. Beethoven is also famous for transforming the relationship between the audience and music. By promoting public performances and publishing his works, he made the audience an important part of artistic communication, significantly altering how music was consumed. However, tragedy was looming in Beethoven's life. He began to lose his hearing. In 1802, Beethoven came to terms with the fact that he was gradually losing his hearing, plunging him into deep despair. In Heiligenstadt, he was so tormented by this that he wrote a letter, almost like a will. But despite the pain, he never gave up on his passion for creating music. This period was a crisis for him, but it was also the time that turned him into an even greater composer. In 1803, Beethoven released one of his masterpieces, Symphony No. 3 𝙀𝙀. This work was originally intended to be dedicated to Napoleon. However, when Napoleon declared himself emperor, Beethoven, enraged, withdrew the dedication and poured his ideals into the work instead. The reason why Beethoven was angry at the news of Napoleon's coronation as emperor was, initially, Beethoven saw Napoleon as a revolutionary hero who embodied the ideals of freedom and equality. Napoleon had risen to power through merit, not birthright, and he seemed to be dismantling the traditional European monarchy, which made Beethoven admire him as a hero. That's why Beethoven planned to dedicate his Third Symphony to Napoleon. However, in 1804, when Napoleon declared himself emperor, Beethoven felt that Napoleon had betrayed these ideals of freedom and equality. He saw Napoleon as turning into a despotic ruler who was abusing power. In response, Beethoven cancelled the dedication, scratched out Napoleon's name from the score, and renamed the symphony 𝙀𝙀. Regardless, this symphony is still a landmark in music history, bridging the gap between classicism and romanticism. Beethoven's middle period works solidified his reputation even further. Symphony No. 5, Fate, and Symphony No. 6, Pastoral, are examples of his distinctive musical language and emotional expression. The Fate Symphony, with its striking theme of fate knocking at the door, resonates deeply with many listeners. Beethoven's musical world grew even more profound in his later years. He became the first composer to incorporate choral elements into a symphony, reaching the pinnacle of his musical career with Symphony No. 9, Choral. This piece is both a celebration of humanity and peace, as well as a masterpiece of musical expression. Using Schiller's poem Ode to Joy for the lyrics, Beethoven achieved a profound unity between music and the human spirit. There's a well-known story about Symphony No. 9. When Beethoven's Ninth Symphony was premiered, he had already completely lost his hearing. He conducted the performance, but could not hear the audience's reaction. After the performance ended, the audience gave him a standing ovation, but Beethoven couldn't hear it. It wasn't until a soprano turned him around to see the audience's applause that he realized their reaction. This moment is often recounted as one of the most moving in Beethoven's life. During his lifetime, Beethoven composed 9 symphonies, along with countless piano sonatas, string quartets, and concertos. His piano sonatas, such as The Moonlight, Appassionata, and his final piano sonata No. 32, show an artistic depth that surpasses the limits of his era. Beethoven passed away in 1827 at the age of 56. When he passed away, musicians and music lovers around the world, including Schubert, whom I talked about last time, were saddened. Beethoven's music continues to be loved and remains a symbol not only of a great musician, but of the triumph of the human spirit. Today, we looked at the life of the master Beethoven and his musical world. His works continue to deeply move us even after time passes. Please look forward to hearing the story of another great musician next time. So far, I have told you about Beethoven's life and his music.
Thank you.
Good night.
Oh, AI's greeting is too cold, so I'll do the greeting. Thank you for listening to my podcast. Good night.